Hi there. Today I'm going to show you how to work the single crochet two together rib stitch. First of all, you need to make as many chains as your pattern calls for. For this video, I've made 14 chains, which will give me half as many rib stitches, which would be 7. First, you need to join your chain into a circle without twisting your chain. You also need to go through 2 stitch loops of your chain, which would be just above the bottom of your chain. So we slip stitch here to begin. And then chain 1. I'm going to mark this chain so I can show you easier in the next round where to insert the hooks. Now in the next chain, we do a single crochet going through 2 stitch loops. I will also mark this. Okay, next thing, we're going to single crochet 2 together and then do a chain 1. So you go through your next chain, pull up a loop, insert the hook into the next chain, pull up another loop so that you've got 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, and then chain 1. In the next chain, same thing. We're going to repeat this all the way around. Pull up a loop in the next chain, pull up a loop in the second chain of this stitch, when you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through, and then a chain 1. And we'll continue this all the way around. Pull up a loop, and the next chain, pull up another loop, with 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, draw through, and chain 1. You want to keep a fairly light tension or gauge with this. It'll make it easier on you for other rounds. Okay, so we pull up a loop in the next chain, pull up a loop in the second chain, making sure to go through 2 stitch loops of the chain until you have 3 on the hook, yarn over, draw through all 3, and chain 1. Okay, we're at the last stitch now. I always find the last one the most difficult to work. Okay, draw through all 3. Chain 1 will always be the last thing you do on every round for this stitch, and you need to mark it so that you can see where your round ends. You need to move your marker as you work. Alright, for round 2, we're going to go through the chain loop that I marked with the pink marker, which was the, we go through 2 stitch loops of that chain. That was a chain 1, remember? I'm going to pull up a loop. We're going to skip the first single crochet, which is the blue marker. I'm going to remove the pink one just so that you can see better. Okay, we skip the first single crochet that we made, which is marked by the blue paper clip. So we don't go there, we go into the next stitch. A chain space, sorry. Pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 3 loops, and chain 1. Now we no longer need this blue marker. I'm going to remove it. And we just continue this around. But for this very first stitch, you're going to go into the same chain space to the right of the upside down V, pull up a loop. Here's where this stitch can be tricky. It's actually very easy once you master it, but to the very left of the upside down V, there is a vertical stitch loop or yarn coming up from the back side. You see it right here. You need to go in between the upside down V and the vertical stitch loop to the right of it. I'll try to be very careful and show you where I mean. Okay, so I'm to the right of that vertical stitch loop that's coming up from the back side. Yarn over, we're doing the single crochet 2 together, pull through all 3 loops, chain 1, and on the next stitch we go just to the left. We insert the hook just to the left of the vertical loop running up from the back side. So we single crochet 2 together, but on the second stitch that we pick up, insert the hook to the very left of the upside down V, but to the right of the vertical stitch loop running on the back side. Right there. This is the only thing that's difficult about this stitch, is realizing where to insert your hook. Once you're used to it, it's super easy. If you stretch your work a little, you'll be able to spot that vertical stitch loop coming up from the back side. After a while, you won't even need to do that, but it helps when you're learning. And chain 1. So another single crochet 2 together. Stretch the work a little bit so you can find where you're to insert your hook next. To the left of the upside down V, but to the right of the vertical stitch loop, or in between the two. Pull up your next loop, draw yarn over, draw through all 3, and chain 1. This makes a very nice rib stitch, which can be used for the cuff of a sock or cuffs of sweaters, maybe the bottom edge of a sweater. It's very useful, and it's somewhat stretchy too. And it looks like knitting. Okay, our last stitch is always going to be indicated by our marker. And see that and that go in between. Each round needs to end with the chain 1, and you need to mark the end of each round. Very important, otherwise you will lose track of how many rounds you've made. And you can see it will start turning out to look like a knit stitch once you've got a few rounds. Enjoy. Thank you.